We want to welcome you to Williams Island TV, and I hope you're going to enjoy today. We have some great stuff for you. We're going to talk about the lecture series that we have, and you must participate in that. When you listen to Annette Isaac speak about it, you're going to understand the diversity and the fun that we have here with it. You're also going to hear from Natalia about the new membership affiliation we've created with Aventura Theater, as well as the Broward Performing Arts. And you're going to hear from Jeff and I a little bit about an update of what's going on the island, actual facts of what's going on the island, not rumor, and a little bit about the finances of the island. And I think today will be a little bit of education as well as enjoyment and letting you know what the future holds for the people of Williams Island. For those of you that are celebrating Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, only the best, healthiest, and happiest New Year's. May all your dreams become reality. And we hope here at Williams Island, we help do that for you. We'll be right back. And good morning. Welcome to Williams Island TV, the Island Insider. We always have a lot of fun with talking about things that go on our island. And we have such a diversified set of programming. We have guest lecturers, we have classes, we have teachings, we have spa, tennis, etc. But one of the things that we wanted to talk about today is as we all age, and not that we're old, but as we age, one of the most important things is education, learning, using your mind, experiencing new things, and it keeps us young, it keeps us alive, it keeps us vibrant. We go through life, we have an education, we have a job, we do something wonderful, and then we retire. And now what do? And one of the things we're going to talk about today is a program that we're very fortunate to have on the island. Steve Eichler brought this to the attention of the POA a couple of years ago, and we thought it was a fantastic idea. And it's adult education. It's affiliated with FIU. And the woman behind it at FIU is going to tell us all about it, Annette Isaacs. And I will tell you, we've been doing it on the island now for about 2 years, since 2024, but it's grown where we have 50, 60, 70 people in a class now. We do this once a month, very, very diversified. And in addition to that, not that we don't do this often, but every once in a while, if somebody out there has an amazing ability to talk about something they have done in their life, please, you contact Annette. You could be one of our guest lecturers at any given moment. So we appreciate it. Annette, I want to thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me, Bob.
It's our pleasure. And what you've done is amazing. You know, it started with 20 people. Now you're up to 60 and 70 and going very strong.
Yes.
What's that accent of yours? Where are you from?
I'm actually from Berlin. I'm a German lady.
Okay.
And I also am a trained historian. So I really come from the trade. You know, I am a public educator, and that is what kind of drew me, you know, to lifelong learning, because I've been doing that for so many years.
And the reason I ask is you speak so beautifully, you enunciate, and my father was British, is British. He passed away. But one of the things he used to tell me is the Americans destroy the Queen's English.
Oh.
But you speak beautifully. So I wanted to say as a compliment, but not only that, adds to the lecture, doesn't it? Yeah. The way people speak.
I have you know that I did a DNA test a couple of years ago, and I am 30% English.
Oh, there we're neighbors. I'm from London.
Wonderful.
So tell me a little about how you got involved with this, and then how Steve and you met and how this became.
Yeah, so the OLLI, that's the name of the institute, stands for the Osher Lifelong Learning Institute. And I am one of 124 lucky people who get to be the executive directors of these institutes, because they are associated with all kinds of universities all over the country. And it's called Osher because the inventor, basically, of this entire idea is a 98-year-old sprightly man. He's still alive, and that is Bernard Osher. Bernard Osher made a fortune, thank goodness, and so that is why he was able to give endowments to all these institutes. And so we are one of the smaller ones. We have about 600 members, but there is the biggest one in the entire country is actually at Florida Atlantic University. They have over 5,000 members. And yeah.
But this is all in the local area there.
Yeah, but it's everywhere. I mean, there are 124 in the entire country. We also have one at the University of Miami, and then of course, just in every state, I would say, every American state. And so for somebody who is so passionate about teaching, about lifelong learning, this is the perfect job. I really adore that. I adore creating programs. I adore connecting with people. When I'm putting on a program and people are happy, it just makes me happy.
So let me ask you, 120 of the organizations around the country, how is it funded? Because I know when you have a lecture here, do the people pay to come to the lecture?
Not here, because this is taken care of, thank goodness, by Natalia and by you, I guess. But the thing is, we always say, if you know one OLLI, you know one OLLI, because every OLLI has a different system. There's one where you have to pay per year, and you pay, let's say, $1,000 a year, but then you get to go to all kinds of programs. Ours is $50 a year, which I always laugh because it is $50 a year. But then it's an a la carte. So if you would want to go to one of our events at the Biscayne Bay campus, because this is where we are, you would pay maybe $20 or $25. If we have, I have created a new lecture series called Nibbles and Knowledge, where we have a lecture and some little nibbles. That would then be maybe $40, just like to pay for the refreshments and so on. And then, of course, we have the endowments, because Mr. Osher gave every of these institutes $1 million. And then, of course, the $1 million is invested, and then every year it has the yield. But I also have to say, I'm extremely grateful for FIU, especially because after during the pandemic, you can imagine that was a big issue for lifelong learning. And so FIU was really kind of helping us out financially a lot.
So the question, just because you said there's one here, there's one at FAU, there's one at U of M, how does somebody like me decide which one I want to join or be part of? Or can you be part of all three?
You can, if you wanted to, sure.
Yeah.
You can, but it's also, people usually go to the OLLI that is closest to where they live.
So it's a geographic thing.
Yeah. But also, OLLI has also created, and that is maybe the good thing about the pandemic, they have created like an online platform where you can also do Zoom lectures. And that, of course, is great for me as a historian and as a public educator, because then yesterday I was teaching for the University of Kansas, in Lawrence, Kansas.
My kids went there, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yes, both, yeah.
Wow, and I was talking about the German unification, because today is the 35th anniversary of the German unification. So that was kind of exciting. And then on Monday, I was doing something at the University in Connecticut. So
Now, do you go to all these places to do this, or you do it online?
Via Zoom. So this is all via Zoom. And that is great, because it gives us, us lecturers, the opportunity to really kind of reach lots of people.
So what is your background that they said is, okay, you went to FIU, and you said, okay, this is the program. What made you qualified to do it? What is your background? Obviously, education of some sort.
I was born in Germany, but then I got a scholarship to go to Emory University in Atlanta, Georgia. Yeah. So I studied there. And then I did my graduate work at the university in Vienna and also in Berlin. And so I have 3 master's degrees, actually, because in Germany, we don't have to pay tuition. So I was just learning and learning until I was 27. and then
you started to do something with it.
Right. And then I had my degrees in American Studies, Political Science, and History. And then I got to work are you familiar with Rhodes Scholar?
Sure,
yeah,
of course.
I was their Germany director. I was responsible for all of their programs there. And then I met my husband, and he was from Chicago. So I moved to Chicago. And then I decided, it was 2009. And that was the 20th anniversary of the fall of the Berlin Wall. And I had, while I was in Berlin, I had done lots of these lectures about the rise and fall of the Berlin Wall. And I was sitting there in Evanston, Illinois, which is an outskirt, like a suburb of Chicago. And I was thinking, it would be so fun if I could do lectures here too. And then I contacted public libraries, and then out of that grew a lecture business. And so now, like 16 years later, I do about 150 lectures a year, in addition to my job, in addition to my executive director job. And yeah, it's a passion, it's a lifestyle. This is what.
So just to divest a bit, because I've always been interested to know, when the wall collapsed, you weren't there though at that time, you were in Chicago.
No, when the wall collapsed, I was still sitting in high school with my parents in Frankfurt.
Okay.
So I was born in Frankfurt.
What was the feeling of the people? Were they happy it happened? They felt good about it, positive?
It all depended. If you were, of course, an East German, you would have been elated because, after 40 years of really basically being a prisoner in your own country, that was absolutely amazing. If you were somebody from West Germany who had relatives in the East, you were relieved, you were happy for your relatives. If you were like a West German who had nothing to do with the East Germans, if you were a West German who was, let's say, socialized like very Western in terms of, very American or British or French, you were like, uh-oh, what's going to happen? Are we going to have to pay higher taxes because now the people in the East are going to want to have our lifestyle as we had in the West? Yeah. So, and I can tell you that 35 years later, there still is, resentment
really
on the hand of the West Germans. There is also resentment on the hand of the East Germans because the East Germans are saying, we got the short end of the stick. We were living in the socialist prison for 40 years or 45 years even. And now, because the unification, of course, didn't really go as well as one would have thought.
Well, that's what I want to ask you, because I might, just by little understanding about it when I studied it, was what they thought they were getting, they didn't really get.
Yes.
You're bringing two governments together, totally two ideology thoughts.
Remember Helmut Kohl, our chancellor, because he was really promising them the sun, the moon, and the stars, and he should not have done that, He should have said, listen, you're going to be the best and most well-off people in the former East Bloc. You're not going to be as well-off as the people in Munich.
Right, exactly.
Or in Hamburg, or in Frankfurt.
So it was almost bringing socialism, capitalism together and trying to figure out how to come up with a hybrid.
Right.
And it didn't always work that well. Yeah.
Right.
I was just curious because I imagine that must be a very interesting lecture when you talk about this. Yeah. From the socialization of the people, it must be amazing.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Anyways, going back to our lecture series here.
Yes.
Tell me a little about OLLI. Tell me what we do here and what we offer the people, because I don't know that a lot of people realize how broad the spectrum of the lecture series is here.
Shout out to Stephen Eichler. What a wonderful man.
Yes.
That he actually had like the foresight, he had the vision for this. He contacted me, that was like almost 2 years ago. And he said, I would like to really make Williams Island a satellite campus.
Now, was he already part of this?
I think so, yes.
Okay.
And he said, I want Williams Island to be a satellite campus for OLLI. And I said, say less, as the young.
By the way, you do know that Steve happens to be a great jazz pianist.
Yeah, right. He
was on the side.
Right.
I know.
And so that was very exciting. Mm-hmm. And so then we met, and we met with Natalia, and then we were figuring out, okay, what kind of topics would the Williams Island residents like, And then, and so basically what I'm doing, I'm giving them options, and then I think there's a committee, and then the committee says, this is what we like, and this is maybe we want to stay away from this topic, but we would love to have this topic. Mm-hmm. And so we had amazing success, actually, because in the beginning, really, as you say, not a lot of people knew about it.
So what were the most popular of this lecture you did?
Popular, I would say, is definitely Professor Thomas Chimmerusti. He is a a person, I would say he does edutainment, which is like this kind of mixture between education and entertainment. He is a musicologist. He is a professor at Florida Gulf Coast University, which is in Naples. And he sometimes, comes to the East Coast. And so then I'm always grabbing him because he and I are great friends. And then I say, okay, if you're coming to this area, if you are in Boca anyway, you have to come to Williams Island. And so he does things like the music of the 60s, Irving Berlin. He does all kinds of, just like fascinating, but also like popular topics, Then we have Professor Robert Watson, as I always say.
Yeah, he's great.
The gift to lifelong learning. He, of course, everybody loves him. And then, of course, I do have to tell you that I am not a slouch either. So
I was going to get to you next.
Yeah,
yes,
so I have done.
It sounds like you're pretty good.
I have done 2 programs. One about Levi Strauss and the history of the blue jeans. So that was delightful. And then my favorite, Beethoven. Beethoven, the man behind the music. So because I'm not a musicologist, so I wouldn't be that arrogant to say, let's talk about his music. No, we're talking about his life. Why was he deaf in the first place? All of that. And I think people really like that. And I also am going to be back on October 15th. And this is just in a few days, right? And I'm going to be back and I'm going to talk about the opulence and the history of Meissen porcelain. And that is such a fun topic because everybody knows about, like the porcelain is China, comes from China. Right. But the first porcelain factory in all of Europe was created in 1710 in Dresden, and that is the Meissen China, which Meissen is like a little suburb of Dresden. And the thing about it is that people were calling it white gold because they were looking for gold, and then they were finding the recipe for porcelain, and then they were calling it white gold.
So when you say it was started in Dresden,
yeah,
there's Dresden porcelain that I've heard.
Yeah,
and I always remember there was an expression, Dresden dolls, because is that something that they made a lot of?
They also did porcelain heads.
Heads
for the dolls.
That's what I thought.
But
okay,
it's more in the 20th century.
Okay,
but yeah, it's an amazing story. And then we're taking a little break during Christmas time, during the holidays. And then we start fresh in January with Professor Thomas Tumarusti. So people are going to be extra excited because he is going to talk about the Beach Boys. And their cultural impact and so on. So this is going to be a fun-filled lecture. And then in February 4th, which is a Wednesday, Thomas Tumarusti comes on a Monday, January 26th, that would be a Monday. Mm-hmm. But then February 4th is a Wednesday, and every lecture starts at 7 p.m. So then we have Leslie Goddard. And Leslie Goddard is an actress. She is as good as it could possibly get. She has a PhD from Northwestern, and she has a master's in acting from Stanford. You can imagine.
Yeah, so she must be a great orator.
She is incredible. And she has a new program about Route 66. And why is that? Because Route 66 next year is celebrating its 100th anniversary. Because in 1926, this highway was opened. And that's the highway that is leading between, I think it's Chicago to Los Angeles.
It is.
Right.
It is, yeah.
And so that, of course, is such an American story.
Well, there's a TV show called Route 66.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
Interesting.
Very, it was very successful for years. And it was the stories of these 2 guys who traveled across Route 66.
Oh, wow. Yeah, and so that she's going to do that on February 4th. And remember, this is all free for residents. You don't have to pay anything. We just ask that you RSVP so that we know,
So let me ask you, do you ever talk about current event topics? Or do you stay away from that?
It's funny that you say that because in March, we have somebody. And that is an author and a journalist by the name of Galina Froman. And she comes from, I think, I want to say the Connecticut, Boston area. And she is talking about nuclear proliferation and the story of Los Alamos.
Oh.
And how, how the situation is nowadays. So that would be, something. And then, of course, I'm always hoping that Robert Watson is coming back to our neck of the woods here, And then, of course, if he is available, I'm absolutely dragging him. I'm bringing him to Williams Island.
So now that we have you dragged here with your ability, and obviously you're very, very good. If we said to you, we would love you to speak at one of our lectures regarding the comparison of what's going on today versus what went on, I'm using this with the Berlin Wall and the two countries, so to speak, coming together, and what's going on now with our political system, trying to bring almost two countries together again. Would you be able to do something like that?
Absolutely. I actually have a 3-session program that is called Germany at a Crossroads. And that starts in 1990 with the unification and leads up to basically yesterday, So it's, and this is actually what I did yesterday in Kansas, for that university via Zoom.
I've been to Lawrence many times, unfortunately. Not a very exciting place to go.
Oh, okay.
But if you took that topic and then used it as a comparison to the similarities and differences of what's going on in today's world.
Today's world, yeah.
Would you be able to do something like that?
Of course.
Because I think that would be a fascinating topic to see the comparisons and the differences.
Yes.
Because there is such turmoil then and now.
Right.
And it's almost like the world has become polarized.
Oh, yeah, unfortunately.
Yes. And it was then too.
Right.
So it's almost so many similarities of history never, they say history repeats itself. Right. And we never learn from history, unfortunately.
Right. That is the sad part. Exactly.
Well, it's exciting that you're doing all these things.
Yeah.
So our next one is October. Coming up.
October 15th, and that we're going to delve into the beauty and opulence of the white gold that dazzled a continent.
And what about Royal Dalton? Is that part of all this?
Pardon me?
Royal Dalton, the porcelain that's made there, the China, Royal Dalton?
Oh, no. After Meissen,
yes.
They had Wedgwood. The Wedgwood.
Wedgwood,
China.
yes.
Yeah.
That's the blue and white coloring, correct.
Right. And then, of course, we have all kinds of Rosenthal. That is a famous one. And KPM is the one that was created in Prussia because, Meissen was in Saxony. It's just...
So why do they think, just staying on the subject, why do they feel that the Oriental, the China porcelain and some of the workmanship of that is so exceptional compared to others? Is that true or...
Yes. Definitely, because we have to see that the Chinese had a head start of over 1,000 years before the Europeans figured out the arcanum. This is the name for the recipe. And of course, at the time, what happened was that when like in the 1500s, when the Portuguese and the Dutch were able to go to China, they were being introduced to that porcelain that the Chinese had been creating for like 1,000 years.
So when they talk about the Ming Dynasty and the China...
The Jing and the Ming and everything.
That's when it really was at its prime. So
Exactly, right, especially with the Ming Dynasty.
Yes.
And so then, of course, China was for over 100 years really only for the richest people in Europe, really for the nobility. But then...
Still is today, by the way.
especially Meissen.
Yeah.
I actually am showing, I'm not going to spoil it because it's just too funny, but I am showing the Meissen website where people can buy things. And I think people are going to laugh about us a little bit.
For sure. Well, is there anything else you want to tell us about what's going on in the future here?
Well, I wanted to tell you that if you're residents of, if I may address you, if you want to become a part of our OLLI community, it's only $50 a year, and you can go to our website, OLLI, OLLI.fiu.edu, and then you can see all of the programs that we are not only presenting here, but of course also at our Biscayne Bay campus, which is not even 5 minutes away.
So the $50 gives you hundreds of classes a year to choose from, and it could be on campus or wherever it's being done.
Exactly. You will have to pay like a little bit, for it, like $20 for a class or something, but that's certainly not the end of the world, right?
And included in that is your lecture series, obviously. Okay, so we won't minimize that fact.
Exactly.
Well, I thank you so much for joining us. I love what you're doing on the island. I think this is fantastic. Now, if somebody on the island has something to say or something to offer or would be a guest, how would they go about?
Yeah, absolutely contact me. OLLI@fiu.edu.
And we're going to put this on the site.
Yes.
Because we do have some people here that have they're brilliant and they have such amazing stories.
Yeah, because I'm always looking for new people who can be instructors for me.
Great,
yes.
Great. Well, I thank you so much for joining us. This is wonderful, and I look forward to a phenomenal year that you're going to give us.
Me too.
Thank you so much for coming, and we'll be right back. Okay, welcome back. And no introduction is needed for who we're going to introduce you to. Natalia is let's call her our cruise ship director, for a better word. She does a little everything with the events, with the programming, with the advertising, marketing of the events that we have. And of course, we have an amazing event coming up in November. But I think today we have something very special she wants to tell us about. And she's put together a program which I'm going to let you tell us about. Welcome, Natalia.
Thank you so much. So we recently have a partnership now established with the Aventura Arts and Cultural Center, just right around the corner for those of you that haven't seen it or visited, as well as the Broward Center of the Performing Arts. And so what that means is we're extending discounted pricings ranging from $60 to $66 at the most for these preferred pricing of these shows. So we actually have some in November. We have Absolute Queen on November 9th. We have Water for Elephants on November 11th, and we have Hot Brass, which is a Chicago Earth, Wind, and Fire tribute on the 14th, if I'm not mistaken. 2 of those are already fully committed, and we have a wait list to see if we extend that block or not, but that just shows you already the response from our members are really looking forward to these shows.
So, talking about the block, they have a series of 100 different shows during the course of the year.
Yes.
Are we entitled to go to any of these, or is it just certain shows?
We just started off on behalf of the CNE committee. They wanted to be able to offer different theater shows and things like that. So we selected 7 to start with. So these 7, we have these blocks that we're going to be offering these discounted pricings. See how it goes from there. And then we can definitely add more viewings, more seatings to them as well, and just kind of gauging it right now to see how that's.
And how are they selling?
We already have 2 that are fully committed, which are the first 2 we started promoting, and then we have a third right now in November.
And how many do we have in a block?
20 seats right now.
Okay.
Yeah, so that'll be 20 for each one of these. We have December, we have the Nutcracker by the American Ballet Theater on December 13th, and the following day we have, I don't remember the full name, forgot the name, blanking out. We have another one the following day, and we also have extending through 2026. We have 2 performances. So
do we commit, when we say a block of 20, we commit to buy those 20, whether we sell them or not? Is that it?
Correct. And so that's why we started at that mark to be able to just gauge it before we overcommit and we're not able to sell it. The minimum are 10 tickets. So worst case scenario, we have to at least fully commit to 10 tickets.
Oh, okay. So if by a certain date, if we don't sell it, we can give some of them back.
Yes.
I gotcha. Would it be worthwhile to start to get some of these other shows? Because I know they have a Broadway series that comes in. They have comedians. They have a diversity of shows.
Yeah, absolutely. We can definitely look into it. We just didn't, again, want to overcommit without really knowing what the response would be like. I do want to mention these are just extending the discounted pricing. So we're not going to do transportation or any type of reception or anything. It's just really extending an added value to our readers.
And it's working well. So if we wanted to buy more tickets, let's say a show was sold out.
Yes.
Can you get more?
Yes, I'm already created wait lists for 2 of the shows that are committed. I'm waiting to see the response within the next week if we need to increase the block, and then I'll get in touch with the team.
And what do the people pay for this? The 60 or 65?
Yeah, and it's just straight purely the price point that we're getting for the discounted prices. So the cheapest right now is $60. The most expensive is $66. Aventura Arts Theater, for those that don't know, it is a small venue, but it is preferred seating towards the front. For the Broward Theater, it's the RNA Theater. They're going to be the orchestra level seating. If it's not the very first one in the center, it'll be just slightly above, but still orchestra. So it's nicer seats.
For those of you that don't know, the Aventura Theater is managed by the Broward Performing Arts. It's all under the same management company. So that's how they are able to get these kind of shows to go back and forth in the two. And the Aventura Theater, I think, seats 350 people. And it's a wonderful venue. Absolutely beautiful. There's really no bad seats in it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's excellent.
Yeah.
It's an excellent thing. Let's switch gears and talk about our opening party, because people are asking, and I understand we have a ton of people coming.
Yep, we're a little under 500 people already on the reservation list, and that's going to be November 20th. We are going from 7 p.m. till 10 p.m. here at the island, so we'll be just like the Taste and Toast event we had for the season close. We can have the Last Coconut area. We're going to have performances there. Here where we are in the OLLI restaurant, and then we're also going to be in the ballroom and the Palm Deck Terrace.
So there's no assigned seats. People just walk around, they mill around. It's almost like we did when we opened the island.
Exactly, because the benefit is really to explore the whole venue. It's
Great.
not just being committed to one space for the rest of the night and you don't really get to see what's going on. We have different performances out at the pool deck versus going into the ballroom, different activations on the Palm Deck than what you're going to experience at OLLI.
That's great. And there's so much going on.
Yeah.
Now, I understand we also have Jazz Night coming back.
Yep, we're looking at working with the different jazz vendors or different performances coming up for the 2026 schedule that we're working with right now. Yeah.
That's great. So what else? Anything else? Or is that keeping you enough busy?
Plenty of things
Plenty
going
of
on.
things.
Absolutely. As you heard about the partnership with OLLI that you just
Yes,
got a
which
little
is
bit more
great.
details
That's
on.
great.
The partnership now with the different theaters that we have, and we have Curiosity U as a different learning platform. So we're just trying to bring more value to our members, from learnings to different events. We have happy hours coming up on October 29th.
We have a wine tasting coming up, don't we?
We have a wine expo on October 15th taking place in the ballroom. So a lot of different activations going on.
You won't be bored living on Williams Island, that's for sure. Natalia, I can't thank you enough. You work so hard and you accomplish so much, and I thank you for that. People don't realize what goes on behind the scenes to make things happen, and you're the reason. Thank you. Have a great day, and we'll be right back. Welcome back. And one of the things I want to talk, I asked Jeff Klein, our COO, to join me today, because when I go to dinner, when we walk around the island and such, rumors spread. And I thought today we clarify quite a few of the issues that we hear. It could be how much we spend on things, what we do with the money, so on and so forth. I mean, we heard in one of the buildings there's a chat set up where they're accusing the POA of spending our money, stealing money, doing everything wrong. And I thought it would be a good idea today to just really go into what we have done, what it really cost, what is planned for the future, so there isn't this misunderstanding and rumor mill. So let's start with the first thing is this island.
Absolutely.
The clubhouse, the pool.
Sure.
We have heard people say that we have spent 20 million, 30 million, 40 million ongoing, and it's over the budget, etc. The fact is, we have spent almost exactly $20 million on the entire island.
Yeah.
When I say island, clubhouse, the new kitchen, ballroom, pool, and everything. explain a little bit about where that money went.
Sure.
Because, and that is exact.
Yeah. And listen, it's no secret or surprise, but prior to me even getting here, you all embarked on a journey to do a renovation. And there were numbers being thrown around back in 2018 and 19 that were 8 million and 10 million. Well, of course, if we built this island in 2018, it would have been significantly less than it was post-COVID.
Correct.
Post-COVID hit, prices went up. The budget, after we went through the original budget process, was about $19 million, all in hard costs, soft costs, all of our fees, permits. I mean, permits alone on this job were near $200,000.
And just to add to that, you have to all understand that the original, well, when we did the budget, it was about 15 and a half. But as you know, when you get into renovation, we found there was no sense in redoing this building and not doing a new roof so it doesn't leak, not doing new air conditioning, not doing new down. So $2-3 million of the budget was for things we needed to upgrade the existing.
Absolutely. And when we did our first budget, you, the exec committee, along with our construction committee, we went through a very rigorous VE process. And we eliminated some of the things that we just didn't think were going to have benefit to the residents of the island. And we tried to spend most of our money where they would see it, feel it, and utilize it. And then as the project took on its own life, we got into a building that was 40 years old. We found things in the walls that were not secure, studs, structural that had to be fixed. And then we did things that weren't in the scope that we needed to do, i.e. roof, i.e. some of the pool deck finishes, because you get one crack at the apple, right? And when you start to see things that aren't up to the standard of what a new project's going to be, you add them back to the scope. So through the diligence process, we VE'd significant amount of money in an effort to add back the things that we had to do. Otherwise, you would have a brand new building, and 5 years from now, we would have had a potential leak in the kitchen, or the floor would have fallen out of the kitchen. So we had to go back and actually go through all of the structural and all the things. So like you said, that project finished, I think it was a little bit over 20 million, but the things that we added, we weren't going to put new windows in the ballroom. We now have hurricane rated windows in the ballroom, floor to ceiling. It changes the entire look and feel of the ballroom. We weren't going to put a new roof on. We weren't going to have new air conditions in some capacity. So there were a lot of things that we added. And if I remember the number, we added almost $3.4 million worth of things that we all felt were beneficial to the project.
And it's important to understand that this VE project, the way we did it, it was over a 3-year period. This didn't just happen. And right in the middle of while we were doing the project came shortages of materials. Then we had to deal with some of the tariffs that might not have affected us. And in the middle of the project, some of the materials went up as much as 25-30%.
Yeah, and if you remember, the original project had us building 2 kitchens.
Yeah.
We were going to build a kitchen where the towel hut and restrooms were.
Correct.
And we felt that that was a waste of money. And we were building this, so we put all of our money in the kitchen, which this kitchen wasn't in the project.
Correct.
So we spent $300,000 or $400,000 in a kitchen that was never in the project.
But the result is, look what we got.
Absolutely.
And that's the point.
Absolutely.
And as for the money, there was no assessments. We arranged to have this funding in our bank loan that we did 6-7 years ago, that when we refinanced the island, we had the funds made available to us. We locked in certain rates that were fantastic, and we were able to perform all of these things, including we have a $10 to $12 million capital plan that has no assessment attached to it over the next 5 years to continue all of these improvements on the island, which increase the values. So I want to talk about the next rumor.
Right.
And
but before you do, I think it's also prudent for everyone to know that we finished a $20+ million project, and we still have over $14 million in reserves.
Yeah.
So that's absolutely incredible. So through the diligence of the finance committee, working closely with Thomas, our CFO, and you and the execs, I mean, we're financially sound.
Very sound.
And making this a premier asset.
No question.
Same time.
No question. The other rumor we hear is, and it's something which is still in the works, we are going to be redoing our spa, and we are going to be redoing the grill room, the restaurant. we all recognize it needs some kind of, whether we call it refresh, whether we call it redecorating, or actually redesigning. We have started the process of hiring architects and designers to put together space planning, decorating ideas, whatever it is. But at this stage, some of the numbers that are coming in are higher than we wanted to spend. Some of them are not. We have absolutely no idea at this point what exactly the cost will be. I can tell you that we've heard some people say we're spending $30 million on the spa and the restaurant, which is absurd. We're looking to have a budget, and I'm going to talk about this very broadly, of $5-6 million to do the spa and the restaurant, all of which is earmarked in our 10-year plan of improvements in capital, 5-year plan of capital improvements. So again, this is not something that's been unknown. We proposed this in our budget last year. We passed an approval to spend these monies. So this is not something that's new and unexpected. This is part of it. However, when we started to see some of the new pricing come in, we realized it's getting excessive and we have to start value engineering, as we do every project.
Yeah. And it's also not unusual for the word to get out that numbers are coming in high and why are we spending the money? But I will tell you that everything that we're trying to do on the island is a measure twice, cut once mentality.
Right.
And we had this vision of renovating the spa, and we're not talking wallpaper and paint. We wanted to really focus on the demographic shift of the island. Carrie put a lot of thought into the functionality of the current space versus the needs of the future space. And that, coupled with design and architectural features with the construction committee, we will get to a place where we feel great about the project. The last thing we want to do is spend a lot of money and get no bang for our buck.
Right.
So I think, to your point, as we couple the two projects, the spa and the grill, whether they're done at the same time or piggyback to each other, it's just two assets that get tremendous use. And I wouldn't use the word neglected because that's unfair, because you renovated 12 or 13 years ago, which is pretty standard. But it's time, and we can't do everything at the same time. So while this is brand new, of course that's going to feel a bit worn and old, but we're going to get to it. It's part of our 5-year plan. It was always slated for 2026, 2027. But I think with the restructure of some of the funds for spa, we'll probably get to both sometime in 2026, whether they're completed in 26 or started in 26. But they'll be awesome. And everything we do will be at the same level of standard that we just completed here at the island with OLLI, the last coconut, in the ballroom space.
And to add to this, one of the things we have added to our staff on the island, when we did the spa, we hired a management company that oversaw our construction to make sure that there is somebody between the board, Jeff, and the construction contractor. And we do that for our own protection, because we don't want anyone to ever say we had something to do, who got hired, whatever. We hire a contractor, it's up to them to do the subs. However, we do hire a company to oversee on our behalf. What we've done, though, is because we have so many projects that are going to be going on in the next 5-6 years, we have taken one of the staff that was our assigned manager from the company that we hired. We brought him into our fold, so to speak. He works for us now with Jeff full-time, and he will become like Jeff's eyes and ears 24/7 to make sure all these projects are bid properly, oversaw properly, done within budget. So he's our new eyes and ears. And he starts in 2 weeks.
He starts October 15th. His name is Connor Brown. Many of the people here know him from just being around for the last 2 years. He comes with a construction background. He's a construction manager, project manager. So like you said, we were to do 2 or 3 projects over the next 10 years, we probably wouldn't need that. We would just go hire an owner's rep every time we wanted to do it. But hiring an owner's rep is also not inexpensive. So if you can get the same quality of work and the same oversight, have someone on your team, we get to use Connor now for the next 5 years continuously with all of the projects. So he can work closely with CJ, he can work closely with Thomas on financing, me on direction and inspiration, and then vet everything for us because it's an extra set of eyes and ears.
And also,
And that's his expertise.
right. And to that point, we already do have the padel court that's starting as we speak.
That's right.
Then we have the sports court that's going to be starting very shortly thereafter.
And then the turf and the playground, and the list continues because everything we do on the island, we do professionally with
Yes.
companies that are qualified to do the work. So some of them will be managed by CJ, who's our director of facilities. Some will be managed by Connor, depending on the scope of the project. But collectively as a team, we're just keep adding bench strength and expertise because we're running a city. And most cities have great people doing the things that are required of the disciplines needed.
And we have, if you ever understand, we have a $50-60 million budget, a payroll of almost $18-20 million. We have 350 employees. We have so many outlets. And it's critical that we have checks and balances of everyone and everything and every dime we spend. And to that point, I think it's very important that you understand no one person on this island can write a check, can sign a check, can spend money, can approve a contractor. It's done by committee. It's done by 2 signatures. It's done by checks and balances. We have outside auditors. We have an outside independent finance committee that is not related to our board of directors at all. So we have tremendous protections for your money because no one on this island is ever been given an opportunity where they could touch our funds. And that's something that we have been extremely critical about. And if you look at our audit report, every year the auditors have established certain criteria that we must maintain in order for us to get an independent audit. So to put to rest some of these stories and rumors that there's monies being spent, that's blah, 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 I'm not going to go into details because it's irrelevant. What is important is we are so careful about your money because it isn't ours, it's all of ours. So adding to this now.
Yeah.
What else is there that's going on? And now you can understand why Jeff is here.
No, it's great. But it's a really great transition because all the brick and all the mortar is not what makes Williams Island special. What makes Williams Island special is the residents that live here, the members that use the asset, and most importantly, the team that we've assembled to execute the vision and creating the memories. And I know you talked about this in the board meeting. I thought I would just highlight it as part of today's little session, but we took the opportunity a couple weeks ago to do what I call an organizational refresh.
Yes.
As everyone knows, I re-signed my contract to go to 2032. And it was time to refresh, recalibrate, and bring the team together and focus on the culture of the organization, which is made up of 2 primary things: workplace behavior and performance. We have a great team, right? But if you get complacent and start to go through the motions every day, or you have a bad attitude, or you speak inappropriately, or you're not performing, all of those things negatively impact a culture. So while we're spending all this money and we're focused on the future, we also have to focus on the team that's taking us into the future. Otherwise, the entire component doesn't make sense. So we had a great session last week that Deborah from Human Resources led with my assistance, and your presence was awesome. Thank you for being there. And I think everyone left there refreshed, re-energized, and said, wow, we are really moving in a great direction. We're proud to be part of this team. We know what it takes. We know what our responsibilities are, and we are on board to make Williams Island a great lifestyle community.
And I want to add to that because, to your credit, and it's one of those meetings, it's not easy. Jeff is talking about a meeting that was a refresh, get going. It wasn't a rah-rah meeting. Quite to the contrary, it was a reevaluation. It's almost like, what are we doing right and what are we doing wrong? And sometimes over the period of time that we get together, staff gets complacent, leadership gets complacent, it becomes a lot of familiarity, which breeds contempt in some cases. Attitudes become a little loose and goose, let's say. And one of the most important things that came out of that meeting, the reason that it was so positive at the end, was, teams start from the top. Behavior starts from the top. Good or bad, the buck stops with, in this case, Jeff and myself and the board. So what we did is we also apologized to the entire staff of the island, because Jeff recognizes that every once in a while you have to look at yourself, not just your team.
Absolutely.
And he was able to say, okay, here's what I can do, guys, to be a better leader, to accept responsibility for what I've done wrong, and move on from this. And I think one of the things that came out of that meeting that was so critical was that you accepted the responsibility, took the responsible and the blame. And if there was any issues that they had, when they walked out of there, they felt, wow, he heard us. He listened to us, and he really cares about us.
Yeah, we're not perfect as leaders. We're constantly learning. This is a very tight-knit family. And listen, I know from my own experience, I love my family dearly, but we argue, we debate. We sometimes say things that we wish we never said. But this was just a perfect time to reestablish the pathway forward, because we have a great team, and sometimes we take it for granted and we don't say thank you enough, or we don't appreciate enough. But it's a culture that I feel is contagious in a very positive way, but it only takes one split second for it to unravel, as you saw from the exercise I did with the contagious culture.
Yeah.
It's
so true.
Shake hands and everybody gets contagious real quick. It unravels very quickly. But it was a great day, and it was an exclamation point on where we are as an organization, the trust that the board has in me, the directors, and the team, because we just talked about spending 20 and another 12. That does not come unless there's a level of respect and trust for the people that are operating it. And I only hope that the residents understand we, the operators, only want what's best for the residents. We don't live here, so we have to build and deliver first-class amenities that they're proud of. So when they speak to friends and go off island, everybody wants to come to OLLI. It's not because OLLI is this pretty room. It's because OLLI has great attitude, great staff, great food, friendly environment, and it's exclusive to the residents of this island. So we're creating special amenities that have long-lasting memories for the residents of OLLI.
And it all increases our own home, because this is our home.
Sure.
We may sleep in a house, in an apartment, but this is our home. This is our living room. This is our kitchen. This is our dining room.
That's right.
The spa is our exercise.
Some people actually dine 5, 6, 7 days a week in our restaurants. So I'm wondering if they have kitchens in their own homes.
Probably not. Probably not. Probably not. But anyway, so I wanted to clarify all of these issues. And I want to ask you, Jeff has an open door policy. We all do. Anytime you have a question, don't listen to your neighbor. Ask. Everything, and we get requests constantly for information, for paperwork, for documents, for factual stuff. Ask. It's always there for you. You as a resident have a right to see everything and know everything that we do on our island. Then that's there for you. I want to thank you. I hope this clarified a lot of what's going on. We have an amazing 5-year program for you, and I can assure you, as beautiful as this came out, when we're done under Jeff's leadership and the leadership of our new people and our team, we will have this in every department exactly as we have it here.
Absolutely.
And I want to thank you for all of that. And we will be right back. I hope you enjoyed today. I hope it was enjoyable for you as it was for us giving it to you and delivering it. I hope you've learned a lot, and I hope you do take our advice. And please, 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 anytime there's a question, anytime there's a doubt, anytime there's a rumor, call us, talk to us, come to see us. Make sure you understand. It makes your life so much more enjoyable, and it stops all of the negativity from spreading. Again, thank you for being with us. I hope you enjoyed the show, and we will be back in a few weeks. Have a wonderful holiday. And again, only the healthiest and healthiest for you. Thank you.